But this from Politico today, that they wrote that Trump has blinked on Epstein as GOP rebels. Is that how you would classify what we saw from the president over the weekend?
No, in fact, I believe on Friday he actually made a statement that Republicans should vote for the release of the files. But I think President Trump knows, and he's been messaging, his message on this has stayed consistent, and that he understands that this, from the get-go, has really been something that the Democrats chose to weaponize against him. Remember, when Biden was president, there was not a peep. And of course, last year, I believe it was in November, when Senator Marsha Blackburn actually went to get the fight logs released, it was a Democrat senator that actually voted to block those release of the logs. And then, as you saw recently, this past week, Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee actually made a motion to release those files, and Democrats also voted to block that. So, in my opinion, the Democrats have been, again, using this as a political hot potato. They actually have no intention of receiving justice for the victims. But of course, after President Trump's tweet, where he actually pointed out also, not to mention Reid Hoffman and Bill Clinton also being implicated, but I actually just found out from our investigators over at Oversight that the Clintons are actually refusing to come forward and testify. And so that's going to be interesting thing. I think they'll be hit with the subpoena here pretty soon.
Yeah, well, that was just going to ask you about that, because that was your latest tweet on X, was that they won't testify. So, I mean, Clinton has clearly got, you know, an affiliation with Epstein and spent a lot of time with him, and neither of them they're gonna force you to come get him, huh?
I guess so, but what's crazy about this whole thing is the Democrats have made no comment on this, nor are they making any comment on the fact that a member of Congress, Plaskett, had actually been texting back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein to try to get dirt on the president during impeachment trials. And so they want to try to pretend like they're fighting for victims, but when it comes to calling out their own party for the involved ties to Jeffrey Epstein, they want nothing to do with it.
It is so interesting that, you know, I'm of the group that believes that if especially with Biden's very weaponized DOJ that had these files for all of those years, that if there was anything really dirty on the president, it certainly would have come out, because they tried every other possible maneuver, including bankrupting him and putting him in jail to keep him out of the White House. So there's not going to be any grand revelation. But I guess my question to you is this, just to finalize it. This White House, in my opinion, doesn't want to release these files. Like, they don't have an interest in doing this. The previous White House did not want to release these files either. I don't think either White House really wants to do this. Why do you think that is?
Well, I can tell you, based on what we found actually in February of this past year, we actually found out from a whistleblower that came forward that under the former deputy director of the FBI, there was destruction of evidence specifically pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. I'd actually forwarded that information off to the FBI. And it was interesting because back in January and February timeframe when I was looking into this, not one member of Congress wanted to get involved in any of that. And so I have forwarded that, and to my understanding, the FBI is currently involved in an investigation. But this White House has been the only administration that's actually released now over 50,000 pages of evidence, also compiled previously filed evidence where you would have had to gone in person to get this. And so it's not that there's something to hide, but I think the president is accurate in saying that this information that they've released, when you look at the people involved, the levels of people that are implicated, I mean, you're absolutely correct. If they had anything on the president, they would have used it. They have nothing, and they're still making it up, trying to imply that he was somehow involved. And the fact is that I do believe that this has been weaponized against the administration to draw away focus and attention on the fact that the Democrats have no platform. They're running Democrat socialists left and right. They literally cheered on the execution of Charlie Kirk, and they're literally trying not to talk about the issues.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but you do agree with me that there's obviously more names and people that are in this thing. And I only got about 20 seconds left, but it does seem like, I mean, everybody thinks there's more to this, right? We all agree on that. And yet there's, you know, this administration's been more open than any other, but there's still not that, they don't want to dump it out, or else they would have just dumped it out. What is the problem? Why is it that this is a bipartisan issue?
Well, I can tell you from my work on Oversight, we're doing everything that we can, but we have released all the documentation that's been given to us from the Department of Justice. And in addition, remember, there's still an open pending lawsuit with Deutsche Bank and some of these Epstein client victims. And so whenever we actually had met with the victims themselves, we actually asked for those names, and they promised to give them to us. And I actually just checked back in with Oversight earlier today, and we've still not received those names. So I definitely think that there's more people involved, but I think that kind of gets hairy, especially when you have a pending lawsuit in regards to what information can be shared, et cetera, and not using our positions to tip the outcomes of that lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I tell you what, I commend you for this. Also, the work you're doing on stock trading, trying to get rid of that as well. These are very, very good ideas from the people of this country. Not as popular where you are, but very good ideas from the people of this country that put you there. And thank you so much for the transparency, Congresswoman Paulina Luna. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.